The Dogs stun the Swans and move into the top 8. Does Sydney have more problems than just injuries? The Lions and Hawks continue their charge as a pulse is found at Collingwood. Plus, Lloydy has his say on the Bombers. You won't want to miss it. This is Access All Areas thanks to Crypto.com. Damien Barrett and Matthew Lloyd are with me. 4 rounds to go in the season and it's going to go right down to the wire. Let's take a look at that ladder because, Damo, it is tight.
It is, Nat, and extraordinarily a team sitting on top has lost 4 of its past 5 matches and is still well clear on top, but that's the real ladder. I want to go to the form ladder, Nat, the rounds 12 to 20 ladder, because this is the one that actually shows more right now about what is actually going on in this lead into the finals.
Yeah, it's quite incredible, isn't it, Lloydy? Because you see there the Brisbane Lions 8-0 since round 12, and the Hawks, of course, so very exciting. But Essendon 15th on that form ladder
and Melbourne are down in 14th, Nat. So it's an amazing scenes. It's about what you do from here, not what you've done in the previous. And that's where we get to the Sydney Swans and their issues. And they used to be the dynamic Swans. Now I call them the bomb Swans because they just bomb the ball. Look at this. This is turnover territory, so you don't want to be kicking from that far out. So that's what Liam Jones and Rory Lobb and Buku Cummins, that's what they want you to do. So we used to see Warner and Goulden and Heaney. They charge through and their forwards aren't the best, let's be honest. So with Logan McDonald and obviously Joel Amati, these guys, Hayden McLean, they're not exactly premiership star forwards. So they need the ball coming in thick and fast and with hands, and they're just bombing the ball. How predictable is this? You don't want to be kicking the ball from inside the centre line. That's what the key defenders want. So they've lost their run, they've lost their game. Again, too far out, too predictable, so the Dogs can just peel off and do that. So when you flip that to what the Western Bulldogs are doing, everyone's taking the Swans game away from them. They're getting the uncontested possession chains going. It's chaos ball. Tom McCartan and these guys love the ball being bombed in, but it's not happening. So Jamara getting 1v1. You don't normally see that with the Sydney Swans. They're coming second, third, forward men up. That's not having chaos ball. Look at this, 2 men just sitting out the back. Tom McCartan's guarding grass. That's not the Swans that we used to see, but the Bulldogs, they're that confident. Again, Poulter, a winger, drifting in. So this is the type of entries you want to see. Look at the run, the carry. That's what the Swans used to do. That's what the Dogs are doing. That's why they're one of the form sides in the competition. And again, this run, carry, all at sea, the Sydney Swans, the Western Bulldogs are so confident in what they're doing. They're just lowering their eyes, getting chain balls in. This is a type of footy you want to see. This is what we're going to see the Dockers are currently doing, the Giants are currently doing, but the Swans, they've just fallen off the pack. We all got caught up saying, okay, they're small, little losses, but it's all accumulated to a bad loss like this, Nat.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Swans in just a moment. Damo, for me, the danger team is the Bulldogs because they've beaten Geelong, Carlton and the Sydney Swans in the last 3 weeks. Do you think it's possible that they might be able to do what they did back in 2016?
Yeah, I do, Nat, and 2021 to a point of making the grand final, and it's being led by so many people. There's no one particular standout. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, each of the past 3 matches, those ones you referred to, has kicked 4 goals, and there's his numbers from yesterday, but it's the authority with which he's playing. It's the coming of age in front of us in this season. It's seizing moments when the Swans were on a mini comeback at that stage. You can see what he did in that moment. And then he uses his non-preferred foot here to kick one of his 4 goals yesterday. He's working beautifully up there, Lordo. It's not requiring Norton to do anything special at the moment. Sam Darcy's always going to pose a problem. We saw Liam Jones in that package you just displayed coming back into the team and working a treat.
They've got their best side together too. So Lobb's been a massive plus with what he's done to join Jones and Karma. So they're stacked there. They're stacked in their front half. Their midfield is in career best form with what Treloar is now doing, plus Ed Richards. So no excuses from here for them.
Well, so while the Dogs have a healthy list, the Swans, Damo, on the other side of the coin don't. They've got lots and lots of injuries, but how much of that is an excuse and how much are there other concerns for them?
Look, it's a part of it. What percentage part of it? Rampy you're referring to, Papley, McInerney, Rowbottom. They're the main ones. There's also been, I think, a few players playing a bit hurt at the moment, and that is at play at the moment. Look, until yesterday, the 4 losses had come by a total of 10 points, and I wasn't worried, but I am worried now. You say that, you line it up with the fact there's still 6 premiership points and percentage clear, a lot. So I can't work them out. Is there a weight of expectation that is also being played out now?
I think we can't look past their first quarter still. I think there's something attitudinal going wrong with the Swans, and they were good enough to get past it because of their form. But I don't think their form's as good as it was. Like Chad had a poor game yesterday, so you can't expect Chad and Heaney's come back to the pack a little bit. So they've come back to the pack at a rate of knots. So I have got concerns about the Swans.
Well, a team that is well and truly in form is Hawthorn, their 10th win in their past 12 games when they beat Adelaide yesterday. They move into 9th on the ladder. They're just out of the top 8 on percentage, Lloydy, and they blew the game open in the second half with some great end-to-end footy.
Yeah, and we want to start these clips behind the ball because let's just give some love to some of the defenders.
Yeah.
Like Jack Scrimshaw, like he was seen by
Great
many
season.
as the best in that draft year. The Gold Coast got him at pick 7, and a lot of them thought, but he just had a lot of injuries. He didn't play much for a couple of years, and now it's just great to see that he's playing the football that a lot of people thought he could. Just probably wasn't mature enough at the Gold Coast Suns, and now he comes to a club and he's experienced now, and it's just leading from end-to-end football. But they're doing everything right. The number 1 defensive team for the last 8 weeks, and then they've got stars everywhere in the front half.
There's a belief, there's an expectation, there's a maturity with what Hawthorn is doing. And I feel what happened in front of us last week against Collingwood happened organically, the excitement attached to that. Yesterday it was workmanlike. And now we get to this point, and let's have a look at where these two clubs are at. Because at one stage of the past 3 years, Lloydo and Nat, we would have looked at these two clubs as being similarly placed when it comes to rebuild. And at one stage, Adelaide would have been well in front by way of the perception. The reality is very different.
Yeah, it's like one team is the most exciting team in football and the other is in no man's land. You know, they were meant to play finals. They would have thought, OK, we're unlucky last year not to make it. And now you've got a team that's sort of, it was a belting yesterday, and it's just clear where the two teams are going and heading.
And Lloydy, we've got to pay some credit to Hawthorn's recruitment team and their list management team as well, because during that 3-year period, they've gone and, got some really great players, recycled players, albeit from other clubs, who have played a role.
And a credit to Sam, because often you can recruit guys, but, let's say like Chol, I talk about players who are at their 3rd club, they have warts on them because they don't get turfed out, but he gives them a purpose. They all know where they stand. Massimo D'Ambrosio, I wasn't sure how tough he was, but he's come in and played amazing football. Lloyd Meek.
Jack Ginnivan.
So there's a lot of guys who have had their issues at other clubs who have become fantastic players for Hawthorn.
Well, the hottest team in the competition is the Lions. There's no doubt about that. We saw the form ladder. They were on their 8th straight game, defeating the Suns. Damo, what's been the major turnaround?
Well, that man there, that little man on screen who's 35 years of age at this stage of his career now. Here he is tackling. He was just spoiling there, and he's happy, he's infectious. I know he hates the team he's playing against, the Gold Coast Suns, but he's been so good all year. And when Kadeem Coleman went down at the point of half-time in the opening round match, their season looked shot from a creativity perspective from the back line. It wasn't, because Zorko's filled that role, and Lachie Neale already got 2 Brownlows to his name and a runner-up in that Brownlow medal space. He's a better footballer now in 2024 than he was previously.
I believe you're as good as your senior players, and that's what wins your premierships, your top 8. So when your Hawks Nat won 3 in a row, you think of them. It's Hodge, it's Lewis, it's Mitchell, it's Roughhead. The list goes on and on. That's what you need, and that's what I think Brisbane have. It's why they keep knocking on the door. And maybe it could be their year this year.
The leaders certainly standing up at Brisbane at the moment. On the flip side, though, the Gold Coast Suns, I feel like we're here every single year. We want them to make finals. We hope that they might make finals. But you can see the frustration is boiling over for their new coach in Damien Hardwick. Damo, it's been boiling and coming to this point. Like, he dropped an F-bomb a couple of weeks in a press conference. You've seen it, haven't you?
Yeah, it's always next year for the Gold Coast Suns. I mean, let's take a listen now to Damien Hardwick. He's already talking about next year, and this was meant to be the year this year when he got there.
I've got a really strong belief in this group, and I'm hoping it's this year, but I certainly think it'll be, not too long away. They're a group that's capable of more. I hope they understand that. I hope they believe that, and I hope our fans understand that as well.
So they're no better placed with Damien Hardwick as coach. Those words were what Stuart Dew and previous coaches of this club had always said about this time of the season. They're 9 wins, 10 losses. There's an extra round been pitchforked into the AFL season last year and this year, but they've only got to 10 wins twice in their life, and I don't see anything different. I just see a club and a coach talking up the future, but the now is never apparent.
Lloydy, do you think we need to be harder on them?
I think so, because how can you be so good at home and so bad away? I know we keep coming away, but that's all between the years. That is a soft playing group that underperforms on the road, but can be so good at home. So it's not talent. It's that they're mentally weak and they're mentally fragile while they're going to miss out again.
But Damien Hardwick, I think, delusionally came in and felt he was just going to change that. And whatever deficiencies and shortcomings they had, that he was going to be the fix.
Well, they had 80% of their premiership.
80% of their next premiership. Now, their premiership, I mean, there's no guarantee of a finals performance at any stage of the next few years, let alone a premiership.
Yeah, it's definitely some soul-searching that needs to go on at the Gold Coast Suns. Let's talk about Essendon now, because their finals hopes hang by a very thin thread. They dropped out of the top 8. This is a side that after round 11 sat second on the ladder, Lloydy. And before I get to you, let's get to Brad Scott, because this is what he had to say after the loss to the Saints.
Particularly in the third quarter, our effort and intent in the contest was really poor. And across the course of the game, it was poor. And it doesn't take much in this game to, if you drop off in that area, for you to look second rate, and we look third rate.
Oh, the Bomber fans are absolutely gutted because everything was at stake. They lose to the Adelaide Crows in a game they shouldn't have lost, and you would think, OK, we've got our next chance against St Kilda, and to put up a performance where he says our effort wasn't there, how does that happen? With everything on the line, our effort's not there. They look nervous, they look fumbly, they look panicky, they look to have lost their way. And earlier in the year, everyone was excited with the Essendon edge was spoken about. Well, there's certainly none of that now, is there?
Well, they volunteered that, didn't they? I mean,
did,
Brad Scott himself, pre-season, volunteered that phrase, and then we got to see what we thought may have been it. But it ultimately has, again, been a con, this football club. And they got comfortable, Lloydy, didn't they? I mean, they had people saying that, we had some players in the off-season going overseas, and they wanted pats on the back for doing a hard pre-season, like every other club has done. I think the changes off-field ultimately made by David Burham. I know you think, and others at Essendon think I'm hard on David Burham, but ultimately, we're nearly 2 years now on from him changing the place yet again and committing and promising and pledging a better future. It hasn't arrived.
No, and it's not as if they're young either. Like, this isn't a young group. They were older, far older than the Adelaide Crows last week. These are players that they roll out every week. I'm not sure Goldie, he's the future of the club. Just got him in. Dyson Heppel, I'd love to see an Archie Roberts play, who's been on the list knocking on the door. Dylan Shield, does he go at the end of the year? Stringer's had a shocking year. Hind, do you keep going back and forth? Should Jake Kelly be playing at the club? Why doesn't Hobbs play? Peter Wright.
What's happened to the last name on that list? What's happened to him? Langford.
Peter Wright, non-competitive again. So, and Langford's been off. So poor Zach Merritt. It's
all on his shoulders.
It's all on his shoulders again, and that's the poor guy. Just it happens time and time again.
So what's their biggest issue for you? Is it the mental edge, that resilience that they're just lacking at the moment?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that teams work you out as teams go, and they've been planned for. And I just look at say even Jones on a wing and Nick Cox, not physical enough, not tough enough. Archie Perkins, what's happened to him? What a poor year he's had. So I think it is a lot about the mental side, but also with Brad Scott, I've been disappointed. It's always, not talking about results and all those sorts of things, but how long can you keep talking like that? Because I think expectation often gets pushed away from this club, and like the Suns, it never comes. And this is what they're staring down the barrel. They play the top three sides in their last
So
four
their next
games.
four: Dockers, Suns, Swans and Lions. The Lions game is the only one that is away at the Gabba. The rest of those three are in Melbourne. Are they making finals? Yes.
No, I think Freo should end their season this weekend.
No.
Okay, definitely lots of issues at Essendon at the moment. We'll be talking about them for the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. But let's talk about the Saints for a second. And Naziah Wanganeen-Miller is our crypto bold play with this goal, and just the effort. And this probably shows, unfortunately, the Bombers' lack of effort and intensity here. But Naziah, just with this beautiful goal there, Damo.
Yeah, well, he got the ball into the forward line, then came back and capitalised on it. I mean, he started the year really well, didn't he? He then dropped off a bit like a few of his teammates, but there's a serious talent in that player who is starting to come through.
It's been a poor year for them, but I think the way they're finishing, a guy like
good.
Josh Battle, or a few who are questioning themselves, may well stay because of the way the Saints are finishing this season.
Well, the Giants' dreams of a top four finish are well and truly alive after a 2-point win over the D's on Saturday night. We've talked about the handball-happy Giants, Lloydy, in the last few weeks, but their ball movement certainly looked slick, didn't it?
Yeah, so early in this game, I thought it was Melbourne's size and physicality that was going around with Viney and Oliver, and these guys were playing really well. But once the Giants evened that out, it was just how good they are and what Melbourne aren't with the pace and speed on the ball. So I can't wait to see the Giants in September again, because I think they've still got a tough run, but they are the real deal. I'm as excited about them as the Bulldogs, for say, with what they can produce.
You say that, yet they conceded the last 4 goals of this game to just hold on through acts like that. That Peatley tackle again, not for the first time this year, helping save a game.
That is true, but I think they're coming in their best form at the right time of the year.
Big test for 2 teams this week, Giants and Hawthorn meeting each other this weekend. What about the D's, Damo? What next for them? Because at the moment their finals hopes looks to be in tatters. They haven't won a final since the 2021 Grand Final. Have they missed their window? What's going on?
Oh, they have missed their window, Nat. Look, I always take the view, premierships are really hard to win. They then lost Jackson the year after winning that flag. So their plans were already out the window then. And again, whatever you want to say last year, they were unlucky with what happened in the forward line and the injury to Angus Brayshaw. Then they've lost Petrarca this year. I never felt they were a dynasty team anyway, but their opportunity now has gone from a doubling up perspective in a premiership.
What do you think needs to change?
I think they need, obviously, a forward who's genuine, a genuine forward. And then I think Simon Goodwin needs to look at the way his side plays the game. Because I think too dour. Yeah, I think too safe. He's tried at patches, but it still never stacks up across the season.
Well, the reigning premier in Collingwood, their season, well, it has a small, tiny pulse. They snapped a 4-game losing streak, albeit with a win over the Tigers, Damo. But we saw glimpses of that Collingwood DNA with that quick transition. It was there.
It was, but I'm not yet convinced in that because of what you did allude to without saying it, and I'll say it. It was against Richmond, and we can't read anything positively into a performance like that. I mean, they really should have won by 11 or 12 goals if they were really wanting to, I think, make us all step up and take notice. Mathematically, they can still make it, and I think it'd be interesting if they did. McStay, great return, isn't it? Second week in a row from that.
The only thing is the confidence it gives you just by getting a win again. And they play Carlton on Saturday night in Pendle's 400th, which is going to be huge. So, yeah, that is a 50-50 ball game.
On to Fremantle now, and the Dower Dockers are no more under Justin Longmuir. Since round 12, look at this, Lloydy. They're averaging over 100 points. They've managed to really turn that around and become a legitimate contender.
He's a good coach, Justin Longmuir, I think, and all he just needed to do was trust what he had ahead of the ball, and now he's got some players in Amos and Tracy and these guys who just are leading that hard up at the footy. So he's always had a rock-solid defence, but they went sideways and backwards too much. They're now being far more aggressive, taking the game forward. Sarong and Brayshaw are just 2 dreams, and young.
Unbelievable.
They're dream players that you can have for the next 10 years, Damo.
And take your pick for who was best on ground in this game, again, because it was one or the other.
Yeah, spot on. So this is just dynamic, fast. Yeah, we've lauded the Giants for so long, but this is what the Fremantle are doing, and I think they are a genuine threat now to proper potential. They'll be there on preliminary final weekend, I think. It's just now where they can get to the big one again.
Oh, very exciting for Freo fans. Time now for Quick Hands, and Lloydy, I start with you. Did you like seeing this aggression from Harley Reid on Saturday night in the Derby?
I did, Nat. I don't think there was anything wrong with this. He doesn't like being... He's never going to be walked all over by any player. It doesn't matter what they've done, so he's let Brayshaw know about it. He's a winner. It's hard being the side he's in, but it's good. He doesn't care. He's not going to respect somebody because in his first year and they're in their 10th or 7th or 8th like Brayshaw. So, yeah, he kept it in pretty much control, which was pretty good from Harley Reid. To you, Damo, has Ollie Dempsey moved past George Wardlaw for the Rising Star?
Yeah, he has. He kicks goals. He kicked another 3 on the weekend. He's done that many times this year. And Wardlaw hasn't done much wrong, but I just think Dempsey, in light of the suspensions to both Reid and Darcy, is the man now. Lordo, and this is to you, Nat. Do you give Port a chance to beat the Swans at home next Saturday?
I do, because the Swans seem like they're ripe for the picking, and don't discount Port Adelaide after what they did to Carlton on Friday night. So looking forward to seeing what a Sydney response might look like. Lloydy, does Carlton's depth look a little bit shaky?
Yeah, it does a little bit, but I think if they have Harry Mackay play on the other night, they win that game of footy. So but DeConey, obviously a massive loss for you, Damo. Why have teams stopped tagging Tom Stewart?
Simple. He's actually now worked through that problem he had when teams were tagging him. He's now added a new dynamic to his game, and that he's going to the middle and then take yourself out when you need to. And he's become a better player, weirdly enough, with it, given he's already won 5 All-Australians. Nat, back to you. I love the Olympics. I know you do too. What have you enjoyed most to this point of Paris?
Probably all the gold medals so far for the Aussies. Jess Fox in the early hours of this morning was amazing. Ariane Titmus, but I've actually found myself really enjoying the skateboarding, which is kind of weird. Trying to get in with the lingo, probably not cool enough for that. And Lloydy, finally to you. and I think I know the answer to this, but should Harvey Thomas have passed this off to Jesse Hogan?
Yes, he should, Nat.
Come on.
Yes, he should have, or at least if you're not going to pass, kick it over his head.
Hogan needs to get out of the way.
Always thinking, kicking it at ground level.
I love too that Adam Kingsley was able to have a laugh about this.
What if he falls short in the Coleman by 1 goal? What would
Yeah.
you do to Harvey Thomas if you were Jesse Hogan?
I'd get a hold of him on Mad Monday.
All right, let's take a look at the Crypto.com tipping leaderboard. And Lloydy, you've managed to peg one back on Damo.
It's 3 in a row, 1 a week. He's getting nervous.
He could be the
I'm not getting nervous.
You are choking like the Swans at the moment. All right, that is all we have time for on Access All Areas. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next Monday.
Join me, Cal Toomey,
And me, Riley Beveridge.
every Wednesday on Gettable, the definitive source of everything you need to know for player movement, trade, free agency, draft and contracts.
Watch Gettable every Wednesday or catch it as a podcast wherever you listen.